You see high-profile people in Washington in tax trouble. It makes you wonder, what are they thinking? How does this happen? President Obama admits he made a mistake nominating a lawmaker who hadn't paid his taxes. When we come back, we're going to be talking to an expert about how this happened and how not to avoid the same mess.
You got it.
Welcome back. It's going to be a pretty Wednesday. An embarrassment for the Obama administration after tax problems prompted two of his cabinet nominees, Tom Daschle and Nancy Killefer, to withdraw their names. And this double whammy comes after the first problem with Treasury Secretary Tim Geithner's tax troubles. The case has raised questions about the president's commitment to his call for change in Washington. The president answered his critics.
Yeah, I think this was a mistake. I think I screwed up, and I take responsibility for it, and we're going to make sure we fix it so it doesn't happen again.
On top of Daschle and Killefer, President Obama's first nominee for Commerce Secretary, Governor Bill Richardson, withdrew his name last month because of an investigation into alleged unethical business dealings. Well, the president now has two cabinet appointees who've withdrawn their nominations because of the tax problems. Tom Daschle, as you just mentioned, withdrew his name for health secretary just 3 hours after Nancy Killefer took her name off the list as chief performance officer. But tax evasion on that sort of level doesn't seem like a careless slip of the mind. Business attorney Carl Starrett joins us this morning with more. Good morning.
Good morning.
How common are these tax slip-ups?
Everybody makes mistakes. I think it's a little more common with people in elected office simply because of the type of ego that attracts people to elected office. Celebrities, performing artists. I think it's more common in the upper echelons of our society.
And we're just not talking 1,000 here, 1,000 there. We're talking tens, hundreds of thousands of dollars in tax money that wasn't paid out.
This is more money than most of my clients make in a year.
And it's outrageous because none of these people have been fined for these tax errors. If this happened to you or me, what would happen?
You're going to be paying pretty hefty interest. You're going to be paying potentially penalties, and you could end up even paying more in interest and penalties than the original tax.
Mm-hmm. Do you buy the fact, let's say in Timothy Geithner's case, since he is our new Treasury Secretary, do you buy the fact that this was just a slip of the mind? It was an innocent mistake?
I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt, but someone in that position should be doing more than just using TurboTax, as he testified before Congress.
Right.
Professional help. Everybody that uses TurboTax, that's a good starting point, but you really should have professionals like a CPA or a bookkeeper or someone that's qualified as a tax expert.
Mm-hmm. The more money you make, is there more potential for slipping up?
I think that with, well, for example, the McCains, they own a condo in La Jolla and didn't pay the property taxes for 5 years, and they just recently paid that. Was that a mistake? I don't know. Sometimes their holdings are that complex that they don't have control over everything.
What advice do you have? Let's go to our tip board and talk about some of the advice that you have for ordinary Americans when it comes to mistakes and maybe how not to avoid them. What are some of the most common mistakes?
One of the biggest mistakes that I see people make is how they have their withholding from their paychecks. If you are under withholding, you're just not having enough money taken out of your paycheck. You really need to make those adjustments to your paycheck. Yeah, you might think you need that money at in your paycheck, but at the end of the year, if you have to write a big check to the IRS, that can be a big problem for many people.
And we're looking at our tip board. Don't wait, it said on the tip board. Don't wait.
The problem is not going to go away. The IRS is going to, they're going to find you eventually. It might be a few years, but eventually they're going to uncover most of those mistakes, and you're not going to be able to avoid dealing with the problem.
And don't assume bankruptcy as a fix, as another suggestion of yours.
Bankruptcy is an option for some people. Tax debt that's less than 3 years old is simply not dischargeable. You can't get rid of it. Sometimes you can use a Chapter 13 bankruptcy to enter a court-ordered repayment plan for the taxes, but for most people, most taxes are not going to be dischargeable.
Why do you think these people haven't been penalized?
It may be because of their position in our society. Most of my clients that have tax problems do not see those penalties and interest waived.
And what percent, I mean, that's what I think is most outrageous to a lot of people, that, you know, everyday Americans that make a fraction of what these highfalutins do in Washington and would be penalized. What percentage of tax returns are audited by the IRS?
It's less than 1%, but you're going to see higher percentages for people, for example, that are self-employed or make over certain threshold income levels. Most of us are never going to see an audit, but if they catch you, they're going to come after you.
What do you think this episode in American politics has done?
I think it's a symbol of additional scrutiny that we're going to be seeing. I mean, you can find out information about anybody, you know, Facebook, Twitter, and all these websites where you can research people. It's more a sign of the times. You know, everybody's going to be under a bigger microscope. You know, the big theme in the election was accountability, and, you know, President Obama says he's accountable. He made a mistake. It's not going to happen again. I guess we'll just have to see.
We will have to see. Appreciate your time very much, Carl Starrett, business and bankruptcy attorney. Thanks for sharing your thoughts this morning.
Thank you very much.